Welcome, and this is part 3 of our trumpet series. We've talked about the first pages, how to make those initial sounds, and then we just finished the white belt, which would include the 5-note scale, hot crust buns, and rolling along in your book. Now we're going to go into the yellow belt on trumpet and the skills needed for that one. For this, we're going to start on page 7. Okay, we're going to skip around a little bit for this one. On page 7, at the very top of the page, in the orange box, it talks about a whole note. A whole note is a circle, and it equals 4 beats. It means you hold it for 4 beats. Okay, 4 quarter notes, each one would be 1 beat. 4 quarter notes would sound like this. Also, the same space as 2 half notes. Okay, and then a whole note, you hold it for 4 beats. Also, it talks about a whole rest. It looks a lot like a half rest, except it looks like a whole underneath the 4th line up there. So a whole rest means 4 beats of silence. Okay, that'd be a whole measure of notes. Okay. You can also see in the orange box, it shows you a picture of the whole rest next to the half rest, so you can see the difference. Okay, the half rest, which is 2 beats, looks a lot like a hat. That's 2 beats of silence. Good. We're going to look at number 21 in your book. It's called the whole thing. It starts off with a whole note F. Okay, it means you're going to hold it for 4 beats. Notice that after that F, you have a comma. All right, that is actually called a breath mark. That means that would be a fantastic place for you to breathe. When we play trumpet, we don't want to, let's use hot cross buns. We don't want to breathe after every note. That would just sound silly. There are appropriate places to breathe. We call that phrasing. Just like we never want to breathe in the middle of a sentence or phrase, the same thing musically. There are certain places that are better to breathe than others. So there's number 21, the whole thing. Notice that at the end there is a repeat sign. Whole rest, 4 beats. Repeat. Whole rest, 4 beats. Very good. Again, some of the key things when we're always thinking about when we're playing trumpet is that posture. Feet flat, fanny forward, sitting in nice and tall, no slouchies. Also, that great hand position when you're holding the trumpet like this. Again, these 2 fingers doesn't matter too much where your ring and pinky go. I like to have mine underneath, but I also have larger hands than most kids. Noticing that you have a finger in the rings. This hand is holding the trumpet. This thumb goes between those valve casings underneath the lead pipe. 1, 2, 3. Pinky on top. Okay, those is going to be a great way for holding it. Sometimes you may notice that I'm going like this with my slide. That's because I'm a trumpet player. When you get a little older in your trumpeting, you're going to be using this to make your D and your what's called C sharp sound a little bit better. You don't need to worry about that right now, but it's been so ingrained after 20 years of trumpet playing that I can't stop. And I try to stop sometimes, like they don't know what I'm doing there. But it makes some notes sound better. A lot of student trumpets, this slide doesn't move at all, okay, because it gets dropped and whatnot, and so it's frozen. So we're not going to worry about that right now. When you're in middle school, you worry more about it, okay? Or you can email me if you're just this fantastic trumpet player. We can get to that too, okay? Good. So we need that whole note. We're going to turn the page over to page 9. Okay, page 9, and then we're going to look at number 38, which is Jingle Bells. That is your first yellow belt song. Now, the reason we went through the whole note is because if you look in the 4th measure, or box of music, you notice there's a whole note E. So that's why we have that. So I'm going to sing it first. Notice that it's 2 lines. Another thing that you might want to be aware of is that the first and second lines are almost the same, except the last 2 measures of the last line are different than the top line. Okay, but everything else is the same. It goes E, 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 G, C, D, E, F, 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 E, 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 D, D, E, D, G, E, 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 G, C, D, E, F, 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 E, E, G, G, F, D, C. So some things to think about. Notice that I'm not going jingle bells, jingle all the way. It's very straight, this one. There's one note per beat, so you want to keep it nice and straight. That's the first song of the Yellow Belt, Jingle Bells. The next song we like to do in the Yellow Belt is Mozart Melody, number 31 in your book. That's on page 8. Now, the thing about 31 we have to be aware of is that we have a brand new note. Dun, dun, dun. That's going to be found at the top of page 8 at number 27, note A, again, in the orange box. Note A is using valves 1 and 2, just like note E, but because it's higher up on the staff, it means we're going to have to blow a little bit harder, tense up your lips a little bit more. Is your A. Is your E. Again, is A. Okay? Number 31, Mozart Melody, is Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star. Okay? So here I'm going to sing it first. C, C, G, G, A, G, F, F, E, E, D, D, C, G, G, F, F, E, E, D, G, G, F, F, E, E, D, C, C, G, G, A, G, F, F, E, E, D, D, C. The next one is Doodle All Day. And if you were wondering, I was emptying my water key. Again, you pull that little lever, and it lets water droplets out. It's not spit, maybe a little spit, but it's water because if you think about on a summer's day, you have a cold ice glass of water. Ice glass? A whole glass of ice water. Sounds a little better. And then when you put it outside, you notice that the water droplets, it gets wet on the outside, forms a ring on the table. Because you have the warm air interacting with the cold glass, and so water droplets are going to form. The same thing on your trumpet. Your trumpet is cold metal interacting with the warm, moist air of your breath. Okay? So when that happens, water droplets form on the inside, and it collects in the lowest places of your trumpet, which is why every once in a while it gets pretty clogged up with water. You just go, and then you're good to go again. What you don't want to do is this. Please don't play. Just go. And then that'll be fantastic. Let's look at the last Yellow Belt song. This is number 34 in your book, called Doodle All Day. It's on page 9. This one is going to be using another new note called B. Looking at 33 in your book, you can see in the orange box note B. Notice that it's underneath that ledger line where you have a C, and it's played with just your middle valve, because the middle valve is blackened in. It's low, so it sounds low. That is your B. So doodle all day, I'll go through the notes first. E, E, C, C, E, E, C, E, E, F, E, D, half, rest, D, D, B, B, D, D, B, G, G, F, D, C, and there's a repeat sign. I'll play it with the repeat. Half rushed. Repeat and half rushed. So those are the Yellow Bell songs. A couple of other great songs to do in this series. Go back to page 7 for a minute. Back to page 7, we have number 23, March Steps. Also number 25, Lightly Row. Going back to page 8 and 9, I like to do 27, which is called Reaching Higher. At the end, there's this thing called a fermata. Okay, it looks like an eyeball. Fermata means you hold the note a little longer than normal. That's all you gotta do, just hold it a little longer. Half rushed. Half rushed. Half rushed. It's up to you. You can hold it for this long. Or longer. Also, number 28 is a good one to do. Au clair de la lune. Number 33 is where you first learn how to play that B with the middle finger. It also has a fermata on the end. I also Also like number 36, a tisket, a tasket. This has what's called a pickup note, which means they add an extra 1 or 2 notes to the beginning of a song. So you have a tisket, a tasket, as opposed to tisket. It would sound kind of weird that way. The last one in these 2 pages that I find a lot of fun is my dreidel, number 39, right at the bottom of page 9. Has a pickup note. Now, also on these pages, one more thing to note, and I don't do a whole lot of it during the first belch or two, simply because you're still trying to figure out your instrument, your notes, and getting a good sound. But they talk about dynamics. That would be about the middle of